GM, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, are they all in major trouble? Are they all doomed? Well, you've seen the headlines recently. All these companies are doomed. The legacy automakers, they're going down the toilet because sales are down and inventory lots are full. Well, here's a lot, and yes, it certainly does appear to be full. And actually, previously, it was all customer orders. But inventory is starting to build up, simply put, because monthly payments are high. People, if you've shopped a vehicle recently, monthly payments are very high if you don't have a trade. But if you do have a nice GM truck, a 1500, or you have an F-150 on trade, you're gonna get excellent money for your trade-in. You should get an excellent value for your trade-in. Make sure you're getting a value that seems fair, because there's always the option to sell it yourself. But the trade-in value is great, and that does help bring down those high monthly payments. Now, why are the payments high? Well, from 2022 to 2023, truck prices jumped a lot. Some of these trucks jumped roughly $10,000 Canadian, so about $7,000 US from 22 model to the 23 model. But this is just part of dealing with inflation. I don't expect these window sticker prices to go down. And are they still selling? Well, they're still selling quite a bit in some instances, and we've got a little fear on the market, so there are some slow sales at certain of these brands. Dodge sales are actually down considerably, and it doesn't make sense because inventory, companies are actually able to produce, manufacturers, Dodge, GM, Jeep, Ford, Chrysler, they're all able to produce far more vehicles than they could 1 year ago. So numbers should be way up. But Dodge numbers are down. But let's talk about Ford and GM first, then we'll get to Dodge. Now, Ford actually had an incredible quarter, and part of that is actually due to more fleet sales. So interest rates did get jacked up, and that's just part of life. But this actually allowed Ford, that hadn't delivered very many vehicles for fleet vehicles, that means to huge companies that order massive amounts in one shot. Ford had been focusing during the last 3 years. Ford was focusing on getting us, the buyers, our orders. And it was a smart move getting us our orders. But at some point, they have to feed the companies, the major corporations. So in this quarter, a big portion of the vehicles sold did go to fleet sales. They're way behind in delivering them vehicles. And now those vehicles are delivered. But the numbers are very interesting. Stay tuned here, because EV sales are up 41%. That's a huge increase. So you've got a F-150 Lightning here, and actually on the other side, 4 got delivered just this Monday. Now, just last week on Friday, all these vehicles are actually for customers. The electrics, we're not seeing a whole lot go to fleet. They've been mostly for customers. Ford knows that people get frustrated when they've been waiting a year and a half for a vehicle. So the numbers are way up. So it's a 41% increase, is 10,866 extra units sold. And actually, Ford has finished #1 in truck sales for the first quarter of 2023. So they've got 254,023 sold. That's 27,000 more than GM, but GM actually saw a better increase. So Ford sales overall are up 10%. If we forget the trucks, they sold 254,023 trucks, 27,000 more than GM, but in total, they sold 475,906 units. That's a 10.1% increase from the same time last year. So the 2023 quarter one results are 10.1% better than in 22. And of course, 22 production was low. They had trouble making enough of these vehicles. So while sales are up, well, last year's sales were lower because of lower production. Now the numbers are up because production has gone way up, but Ford is sending a lot of these to fleet. And I've been saying this for several months, that I feel that window sticker prices aren't gonna go down, but we'll start seeing better interest rates. And the reason for that is, I figure very clearly, Ford has to fill these fleet customers. And when they're filling fleet customers, they don't want a huge lineup of angry people saying, I want my truck now. And Ford and GM, Dodge, Jeep, everyone needs some sort of chance to actually put some vehicles on the lots for inventory for sale, because some people in the last 3 years have been very frustrated, fairly enough, when we don't have inventory in the lots. Last 3 months, interest rates have been very high, and it has allowed Ford to actually send vehicles off for the fleet orders and simultaneously fill the lots. Now, this has also been the case at GM and Dodge. It was a smart move by the manufacturers to actually get vehicles on inventory, get rid of all those wait lists, order lists, get vehicles in inventory while also feeding all those fleet sales, filling those fleet orders that they needed to fill. But the great news is now interest rates are dropping. So you've got the Ford Explorer over here. Interest rates have dropped. And an interesting fact about 23 and going into 24, we're gonna start seeing less different types of models, trims, and options on lots, because Ford, to simplify the build process, they're cutting down on options. So all Explorers in the future are gonna come with the hitch. Hey, almost every client orders the hitch anyways. They figure everyone's gonna get the hitch. It's no longer gonna be an option. There'll be less options at the factory so that the factory can build more vehicles and at a lower cost. It'll help control cost. It'll help cost not rise more, so that we can actually start to see a little bit of calm and normal when it comes to price increases, because the price increases from 22 to 23, not just at Ford but also at Dodge and GM, are not normal at all. But talking about price increase, Dodge has had big price increases, and their fan base, they're not taking it, they're not accepting it. Dodge sales are down 9% for the quarter Q1 of 2023, and that is absolutely abnormal. That's not normal one bit. So it's not normal at all that when production has increased dramatically, you end up seeing sales go down 9% down at Dodge, and that's because their fan base just aren't taking these huge monthly prices, and resale value hasn't gone up. Ford and GM both, but especially Ford, resale values are through the roof. So if you've got a trade, it does help control that monthly payment and have it be something very reasonable, because while you're paying a lot more for the new, you're getting a whole lot more for your trade. And also, now that inventories are full, I've been saying that. I predicted that sometime around, early summer to fall, interest rates would drop. Well, they've already started for this spring. Vehicles that are actually in inventory have gone down a lot. Behind me, we've got my Mustang back there, and it's a 22. And if you can find a 22, which you can, you're gonna have incredibly low interest on a 22 Mustang. It's wild. Very, very low interest. Interest on the Bronco Sport has gone down because why? Ford has inventory. So I've been talking about how the market, it's not a market collapse, it's market control. Everyone for the last 4 or 5 months have been talking about market collapse. We won't have a market collapse, we're gonna have market control. And I've been saying they're gonna use interest rates to control monthly payments, and when they need to move inventory, they're going to lower interest rates. Now, you will see some rebates at certain manufacturers, but that does affect resale. So I much prefer seeing the monthly price come down because of better interest rates. So F-150 interest rates on the 23 have come down. They're near zero on the 22, if you can find a 22. It's gonna be hard to find a 22 F-150, but interest rates are near zero. The 23, the interest rate went down 1%. You've got about a 1% interest rate drop on the Bronco Sport, and Dodge is going to need to do this. Dodge, if they don't want to see another quarter with lower sales than 22, where they could barely build any and had a horrible time trying to build any, they should be seeing at least 5-10% increase over last year. Otherwise, it spells doom. It spells collapse for Dodge, Jeep, GM. They're moving units. They're moving units really well, actually. GM is up 18%, so that is an incredible increase, and it's about where you should be if everything is lined up, because production is up easily 20% from last year. And looking at that F-150, that's not mine. Mine's at home. I came here in the Mustang. We'll talk Maverick in a moment. But looking at the F-150, let's talk F-150 Lightning. Now the interest rate has actually gone up. Why? Because there isn't any available inventory. Now you should lock in your interest rate from from back in 22 when they started putting prices on the 23s. So you'll get, I save 2% interest when buying my F-150 Lightning, obviously, because I'm an orderer. But if you do find one available at a lot, yes, you're going to pay 2% more interest than someone who ordered. But let's look at the case of the Maverick. Maverick interest is also up because there isn't any inventory. Manufacturers don't necessarily want people begging for a vehicle that's not available. So for the non-available vehicles, or almost non-available, interest rates are higher, but if you ordered, you get the earliest 23 interest rate that was published. So that goes back to September 22. So Marie on her Maverick saved 2% compared to today's interest rate. So that's a way you can save. And that's what's going on in the market right now, folks. It's not a market collapse. There's a lot of market control. The best deal, I think, is if you order. Unless you're looking at a 23 F-150, find one on the lot that you like. The interest rate is very reasonable, but I bet if you order it, by the time it comes in, there's a good chance you might be saving 0.5% or 1%. So that's one other way to get a deal. Dodge, you need to bring down your monthly payments. People are not buying it. People do not want to pay, $1,000 or $1,200 a month payment on a 1500 Ram. That's why those sales are down. And Maverick, well, it's a fantastic truck, but because there aren't any, Ridgeline had basically its best sales quarter for the Honda Ridgeline ever. Why? Because people are getting tired of waiting on their Maverick and they're buying a Tacoma or Ridgeline instead. So Ford's helping out the other brands right now by not being able to produce these. And the Lightning, well, the other truck companies, Dodge and GM, haven't been able to produce anything yet. However, that is a little worrisome. But Ford's production of the Lightning is going to go way up. I've got, Ford that showed up just yesterday on Friday, the Saturday, walking the lot when it's quiet. But the Ford that showed up all get their interest rate reserved. And if you haven't gotten yours yet, don't worry. Production is going way, way up. Right now, Ford was building about 2,500 per month, and by the end of 2023, they're going to be supposed to be building 12,500. So, 5 times more Lightnings being produced. So a lot of you are going to get to see your Lightning soon. You might even start seeing a few in inventory for people that can't take their Lightning. Can't pick up their Lightning because of increased prices from when they originally put that reservation down back in, summer 21. So you will see some Lightnings for sale. It is a fantastic, incredible performance machine. It's unbelievably comfortable and it's so useful. I can be, working out of the hood, all the electronics that I need. I can run my drill, table saw, skill saw, anything that I need for, building or renovating a cottage. Same thing out the back of the vehicle, and I can hide all my tools in the front. So it's an excellent compartment for hiding everything away. So huge sales increase. Now the battery that you saw on the internet, a lot of this, Ford's doomed, the end of the electric truck and all that talk. Why was it going on? Well, the factory did close for about a little over 4 weeks, and the reason for that, well, SK makes those batteries. They're a Korean company that have a plant in, I believe it's Georgia, and well, they had a defect in the battery cells that is now resolved. Total of only 18 recalls. But they're keeping all the ones that were built at the plant, and they wouldn't ship out any. They wouldn't ship any out, and they weren't making any for about 5 weeks. Now that is over. They're back to production, and production will increase, and the battery defect is resolved. There's a little mistake made at the SK plant, so don't worry, folks. The Lightning is a good vehicle. Ford's EV project isn't doomed. It's not ending. We're in good hands, and you're gonna love it when you get yours. If you've got any questions, please make it to our live session on Mondays, where we'll be talking about all sorts of automotive news. So please subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any important automotive news, especially when it comes to trucks. Take care, everybody. Wish you all more cars and more power, and don't forget, Subscribe to help feed those poodles.